Good. Thank you for readjusting to your boy, because overtime's a bitch when you're working 60 hours a week. We not
Yeah, I was
we not
confused
late.
because I
It's
was
still
like, you
Saturday,
said that
so
you were picking up a shift on Saturday. I was like, but then you were like, can we record on Saturday night? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, wouldn't you be working? I wasn't sure how that worked out, so um, it's all good. It's all good. New setup, at least on the digital side. We're on Riverside. We're using Riverside this week. And that means we are officially going to be on Spotify podcast, wherever you can find us on Spotify. And eventually, I still got some stuff to finish up setting up, but you'll find us on Apple Podcast and all the other podcast streaming services that you can find us on. So you're getting the live edition if you are tuning in on YouTube still. We'll be on Twitch probably next week as well. But yeah, things are progressing along. And this is episode 18 for the people that have been following from the beginning, but for everybody on the podcast, you'll be like episode 18, but it's the first joint in the goddamn library. Yeah, well,
yeah,
we're not putting
literally.
the whole thing in the archive. But let's start off with these Sunday Percies. I got two of them, and I mean, mine are pretty quick, but I'll start with the
Mm,
first one that's fresher in my mind, and it's back from the movies update. It was a
okay.
good week of movies. I saw two movies this week. I guess I made up for last week where I didn't see a didn't movie, which is probably the first time this entire year, where I didn't go see a movie in a week. So, this week I saw uh well, no, I saw two films, kind of from the same kind of family. Um, First one is Anora. Have you seen like a trailer for that?
No, I haven't. I
It's
feel
it's a
like maybe I did, but it just hasn't connected with me. But
Yeah, Anora is about this exotic dancer from like Brooklyn, and she ends up like in this whirlwind relationship with this Russian oligarch's son.
hmm,
Um,
that's a pitch right there, like elevator pitch. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good. It's probably up there with both these movies this week were probably up there for like some of my favorite movies of the year so far, just as far as just like
Okay.
entertainment and enjoying them. Oh yeah, Nora is really good. It's built on Wikipedia like a romance, comedy, dramedy.
Hmm.
It's a lot of funniness in it. It's really good, but it's also a very poignant story, I think, as well. So definitely check out Anora. That's a
Okay.
really good film. I would definitely just even check out the trailer. You'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, like I'm down to check this out. And the second joint, and I just watched this like a couple hours ago. Hugh Grant, he has a new movie from A24. The other one, Anora, is from
Hugh
Neon.
Grant.
That's why I said they're in the same family. Yeah, you know Hugh Grant.
I know. I should know that name, or I should know his face immediately. Okay, there we go. I just had to look at his face. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah. He has a new movie out called Heretic. It's made by A24. And the trailer for that is really good as well. I recommend checking out both
Oh,
these trailers.
I, I did see that trailer actually. I did not recognize him as Hugh Grant, but now that you put that there, but yeah, he's like religious in the basement, and the girls come over. I did see the trailer, but yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that was pretty
you
interesting
somewhat kind
setup.
of got
Yeah,
an idea of what it, but yeah, like
yeah.
these two girls, two, I guess, young adults, go to Hugh Grant's house. They're Mormon sisters, and they're
Mm.
passing the word on and things of that nature. And uh, it's an A24 film. And so I'll just kind of leave you with that, but I'll say that like, with A24, some of these movies that they've had come out like Stepmother, or not Stepmother, what's the joint with Brandy that came out?
Oh,
I think it's called
yeah. I mean,
Stepmother. Or
yeah,
no,
something
it's
like
called that
that.
was called Front Room. That was called the Front Room.
The front room.
Um
Mm.
Civil War and things of that nature. You're like, okay, A24 is kind of getting away from their roots. Nah. This feels like I was watching the Double Toasted. They kind of brought up Hereditary and things of
Hmm.
that nature. And so it's a really interesting A24. Like A24 still got it, basically.
Yeah,
Like even though they might make some of these high budget joints, like they could still make a really good like creepy thriller. Like
for
it's
5 million. Yeah,
yeah, it's really good. It's really good. That's another one of my favorite movies. The ending is a little shaky,
yeah.
but because like the beginning part is so like good, but you kind of go with it, and I think the way they landed it at the end, with the ending of there's it's really good. I don't want to give away too much, but definitely both movies I highly recommend
I
checking
listen
out.
to your suggestions. I'll probably watch The Heretic first, like whenever that becomes super available to me. Because unlike you,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna drag my ass to the
that'll
movies.
be on
So,
Max. That'll be on Max
yeah.
in 45, 90 days, and then Neon Films, I believe they come on Peacock.
Okay. Oh
So
yeah, the distro and all that stuff based on studio. Look at you.
yeah,
Let's talk about less smart people. Um, my Percy. I mean, honestly, it was just talking to you. We did talk about this already personally, but like, yeah, how's your sanity after election day in America? Now we're
I'd
four
rather
days
not talk
after.
about it. So I mean,
No?
personally,
Okay.
yeah, you could
All
give
right.
your thoughts, but
Well,
like for me, I'm just like.
I think this is just
I'm still
where
on
we.
like I got everything lined up that I want to listen to, but I'm just like right now I'm just like I'm good. I don't want that in my
So
mental.
I'm glad that, I mean, if anything, we're way more similar like that because I finally listened to one thing, and I'll give you a guess. Which pod do you think I listened to?
It's around the
Like
way
out of
pros
our common.
probably.
Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
only one that I could do. And Antoinette was because they so smart and caring and they put in the work, so to speak, like organize people and stuff like that. And Antoinette was you could hear like the tears in the back of her throat. And it was only like a 45-minute episode. They usually go like an hour and a
Yeah.
half, 2 hours. So it was rough, but I dipped my toe into the consumption of like, wrapping your head around new America for the next 4 years, or new old America, I guess I should say, with President 45 now being President 47, or he will be in office soon. So I guess that's what I want to say. Like I'm still not all the way there yet either, but I'm just letting you know. At least I'm not warming up to the presidency, but just the status quo. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, like we said on the phone. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just way I mean, I'm pessimistic about people in like the micro sense, like the everyday sense. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's just like, okay, yeah, like there's like common day like idiocracy that happens that's just like, man, like we can't even get past this like small bit of hurdles, but it's every day, right? So it's a small thing you
Hmm.
hope that we can get over as like evolution and time goes on. So I'm much more I used to be I say much more optimistic on like, all right, yeah, like human evolution will eventually win out. I'm way more pessimistic now. Like
Yeah.
we talk about that movie Idiocracy, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, well, that's a distant future. No, like we're literally in it.
Within our lifetime, literally.
No, 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 no. We not in our life. Like we are in it.
No, no, I know. I'm saying that from that movie coming out to seeing it is
Yeah,
literally
like
20 years, like in our lifetime.
this literally confirms that we are an idiocracy.
Hmm.
Because like we talked about off conversation, it's like if you take the voting population's collective, education, and not by like what did you earn, oh, I have a high school diploma or I have a college bachelor's degree or a master's degree, like your little like aptitude and your understanding, it's a sixth grade level.
Yeah.
We are voting at a sixth grade level as a society.
Hmm.
We're asking the wrong questions. We are being asked the wrong questions because there's people that, understand. And again, this kind of gets to the movie Heretic a little bit. There's people that understand what the real power is. It's control.
Hmm.
And it's easy to control people that don't know better or choose to stay ignorant. And at this point, like, I used to be a little bit more of like, okay, like, yeah, you might not understand and, you try to be compassionate and empathetic. Nah, at this point, you just got to call them for what they are. You're fucking stupid and you're a fucking idiot. So I'll leave it at that. You got me into it more than I had to. That sucks for you because you need to do better on coming up with your Percy's and stop being last minute with this because that sucks. But go
Oh
ahead.
wow! Shot at me. What's your last
Yeah.
one? Go ahead.
Last one is this goes out to all the teams for all of us sports fans that are specifically like die hard for a specific team, that like follow a specific team, whether it be basketball, football, whatever it may be, and like you keep in with the day ins and the day outs 365. And it goes to show as a Commanders fan, I'm saying this from a perspective as a Commanders fan, that like, we're not always right, but we're not always wrong. We're not idiots, or like we're not just because we didn't play the game, or just because we're not, having the day to day. Yes, there's definitely things we're not going to equate ourselves to be on that type of knowledge level. But to say that, like, hey, like the people that spend all the time doing these mock drafts and looking at whatever film they're able to find on YouTube, and not just like the highlights. I'm talking about like watching through like each rep, good and bad, of whatever player that you're interested in, right? It's like you can see as a fan who's a good player and who's a bad player, what's working and what's not working. And so I say that as a Commanders fan because this week we traded for Marshawn Lattimore. And if you saw my text chain with my cousins in my other group chat, it was after
I did not read them.
Obviously you didn't, because it was between me and my cousins. You're not.
No, I thought you meant like the fantasy one. Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
No, it was a separate one from that. I was like, yo, we need to go get Marshawn Lattimore. That's the only name that I was like, that's worth trading for this year's picks. And that was a third round. You know what I'm saying? If you were getting a DB. And they went ahead and did it. And that's just not saying confirmation bias for me. I'm talking about there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's people back in the days that was like, yo, instead of Emmanuel Forbes, we should get Christian Gonzalez or Deontay Banks. We should get JOK instead of like Daron Payne or somebody that was out there. We should have got Chris Olave or Derwin James, or Kyle Hamilton. So the fact that is to say that, like, hey, we don't know how this Marshawn Lattimore thing works out, but the fact of the matter is that, like sometimes we as a fan will make us be like, okay, we think this guy's a good player, and then the team will do something completely different and buck the trend. And you're like, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because you're the professionals in the room, you're working with a lot, and it doesn't work out, and then you see the person that you liked worked out. And it's like, hey, am I an idiot here? Or did I figure out, like, do we know something and we're not just here just twiddling our thumbs, just bullshitting? Now, I'm not saying there's not a lot out there, but saying for the people that are diehards of a specific team, I'm sure for you, for like the Rockets, like you'd be able to be like, yo, like I told you this. I told you from a minute that this wasn't going to work out. But for whatever reason, y'all want to keep doing this and acting like we're too smart to understand what's happening. So thoughts on that, if you have, because that seems a little bit more holistic, just because I'm saying, because like there's things that we follow day to day on a sports fans where it's just like, man, we knew as fans, we knew we were right and the team was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a matter of like, because they can always run back to the excuse of like, oh, well, why would I listen to, an electrician or a data analyst or some type of shit? Like, y'all ain't professional. Y'all don't do this shit at the highest level. But you know what all of us Americans do? Sit on our ass and watch TV, like, professionally. So when it comes to those sports team, I couldn't agree with you more. But they always will run back to like, oh, well, you're not in the gym with us, type shit. Bro, I watch you every game, every other game. Like, I can see that you got this, like, hitch in your shot. You know what I'm saying? You need to work on that.
And there's a lot of analysis.
Give some more defensive effort. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and there's a lot of analysis that's available for us to understand, like, especially with like quarterbacks and stuff like that. There's so much breakdown of film that we are much more, to a degree, a smarter, sports fan than we were 5 years ago, even 10 years ago. Right. And, the way that goes further than that, is not always applied always the best. But as far as like what we know, like we're a smarter sports fan than we were 5 years ago. And so the argument is to say that, like, hey, I know I'm not playing, but hey, I'm not saying this out of the blue. I'm not pulling this stuff out of my rear end. I'm looking at PFF. I'm looking at all these different sources. You know what I'm saying? Not just somebody on Reddit in conversations. Like, these conversations are being had at a very detailed level too. You know, not when you are getting into like, you know, human to human conversations, but more so in the sense of like the places that we're reading it. It's like, it's from NFL.com. It's from ESPN. You know, it's a multitude of places that, you know, have done their research and they're relaying it out. And then it's up to us to, you know, collectively think about like, all right, what do we, not collectively, but, you know, parse out our opinions of a player. And I guarantee you, in that draft where we picked Emmanuel Forbes, it shocked all of us because Christian Gonzalez was right there. We're like, oh, word, Christian Gonzalez fell to us? That wasn't supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, the Ron Rivera and the squad, they were like, oh, we want a guy that can get pick sixes and picks.
Yeah, because that was his whole thing, was like he was more ball skills, right? Than Christian Gonzalez.
He had the ball skills, and so that's why they got Forbes. And it's like, you dismissed everything about the weight and everything like that, and it was like, oh, well, other teams wanted him. The Cowboys wanted to possibly trade up for him, and this, that, and the third. And it's like, yeah, but that's Christian Gonzalez. And he was, you know, a top 10 dude that fell to you at 16.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running a little long on it, but just to say that, hey, we're not always right. We're not always wrong, but we're not always right. But we're not always wrong, but sometimes we're right.
Yeah. No, I would definitely put on my cape for that as a real deal everyday fan for sure.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nah. Let's get it started.
Right. Let's start the show. And let's start the show indeed. A little different because we didn't actually have the little, you know, actual video cut, so we had to like put a little pause. But let's get into it's a pretty light week. We don't really have much in the way of current events, so it's just straight shots to all the stores this week. And so we can take ourselves straight into the flagship show and get into the Raw recap. And
we were right across the board with this too.
Oh, were we?
Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't even put this. I thought I put it there. It was right across the board, exact matching as far as it went. Yeah, go ahead and start.
No, yeah. I mean, I was gonna start off with the fact that I didn't know that this was pre-taped. Mm-hmm. I was actually kind of caught off guard because I came in a little bit late. I came in like 5-10 minutes after the show started, and then I saw like the setup of the you know, the ring, and I was like, that's a little grandiose for Raw, ain't it? Like, where are they at? And then I like took a little minute to look at it. I was like, oh, they're still in Riyadh. But I was like, okay, like when do they film this? And then I guess I'll start off with my primo, the Fatal 4-Way #1 contenders match with Damian Priest, Dominic, was it Sheamus?
Sheamus, yeah.
And Seth. Bronson Reed came out of nowhere and attacked Seth Rollins. And with that, like, you know, I was surprised because I was like, okay, Bronson Reed got curb stomped at Crown Jewel, which we got to take a step back and actually get to Crown Jewel and talk about some of what happened, some of the stuff that happened there. Not much, but, you know, stuff happened. But I was like, okay, like, when did they film this? Mm-hmm. Like, did they just film this right after Crown Jewel?
I would imagine you would have to. Or that's what you're probably doing all that within 48 hours, right? I mean, clearly they're still in Riyadh, like you're saying. I don't know how long
they filmed it on Sunday. Yeah, maybe they filmed it on Sunday, but I don't know if they do things on Sunday. But
yeah,
it was more of a curious thing because I was like, okay, like he had the big ass gash on his his eye, so I was like, okay, like clearly you filmed it after Crown Jewel. How quick was it? Was it the same night? Was it the next day? I don't know. So that was just more curiosity. But that was a great match. I like the fact that it was cool that Damian Priest won. It makes sense that Bronson Reed would come through and, you know, get Seth out of the way. So it's like, do you think it's going to be Damian Priest or do you think it's going to be Sheamus? Because Damian ain't going to be Dom.
But that's where your heart lies, though. It's like, you know, about time we've seen him there. So at that point in time, I really like Bronson just being an indiscriminate force of like nature and ass whooping too, because you said take out Seth, but
He took out everybody.
Damian, no, everybody. Yeah, Damian Priest got it, and Sheamus both got tsunamis too. That's why I was like, oh shit. It
That's why I
wasn't
like the
just him. It's just
tsunami,
like,
because I'm like, you can't just hit one.
Y'all in the way? All right, fine, fuck it. Y'all
Yeah.
just gonna have to get, like you said before, it was the theory of like, all right, this is how many waves of the tsunami, right?
Yeah.
And both of them just got one. They got the lowest level. So they should be all right. But still,
But he still dropped like 4 tsunamis. So it's like, again, he's not, if he's not doing just one, is the point. Like it's not a tsunami because he just did it once. He has to do it at least like at least 2. He has to do it at least 2 times. Maybe 3.
Awesome if he keeps that like legitimately the thing instead of just because obviously you're doing more to make him more of a devastating monster, but that doesn't mean that the tsunami itself is not devastating. You know what I'm saying? Just taking
no. He doesn't need it to like do it every time to like get the pin. Like he doesn't need to do it 3 times to get the pin. He could do it 1 time and get the pin, but then like once you get the pin, doesn't mean it stops.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's still coming. So, let's take a step back and actually talk about the bullshit that was Crown Jewel. Did you have any thoughts on what happened? Did anything stick out?
I mean, besides in reference to this, I thought it was like one of the best.
Just in general from the show.
Okay. Oh yeah, obviously. Well, Bloodline, right? Advancement. Like this has been the most canon Crown Jewel that we ever have had. Because obviously we had like the last few episodes that Crown Jewel has always been bullshit. But this is the most that it's like, okay, we're actually staying with the continuity. So if anything, that's the most permeating thought, that it's like, okay, do we actually have to pay attention to these now? Especially if you're going to do major angles like this. And like you said, your favorite wrestler in the world, Seth Rollins, is having his match or his get back match. It's like, yeah, you want to see that shit. You know what I mean? So Cripps is like, it's the best booked one so far. So it's like he's doing right by himself and TKO for making us care about it, or even have to question about caring about it, even though they're in a whole nother country. They definitely want us to forget the original, with Kane and DX and Undertaker and all that shit. And
I mean, that's something
Goldberg winning the
title. Even think about like the past ones like that. Like that doesn't really stick out of my mind. I'm like, that scars Crown Jewel forever. The show already sucks because it's just not canon. Even this one, I'm just like, okay, like we knew that like they were gonna have these matches and the outcomes that were gonna happen. Nothing was really too surprising.
Mm-hmm.
And then the post show, I was just like, I had to turn it off. I was like, this is enough. I'm done with it. Like I'm sure Liv is super happy, and those are real genuine tears, and I'm not trying to take away anything, but that was just a little too much for my liking.
Yeah, so. It was super. We were on the
not
phone.
her crying, but like necessarily just the circumstances around. I'm like, y'all can keep this. Y'all can keep this.
This big old title that we've been showing y'all on TV for a month is actually going to stay here in a glass case. And here's your Saudi Arabian Hall of Fame rings for this Crown Jewel. Like that's what we get. It's like, oh shit, all right, whatever.
What do you think about Damian Priest becoming the #1 contender?
It makes sense. But like you said, that's the realistic, like the most grounded answer for sure. If you're like looking at those 4 at that point in time, then yeah, I'm picking Damian. My heart was pulling for Dom just because I thought he could sneak one out. Not that I thought that he would win, but it was it's appropriate. I don't know if I would want to see it that soon, like Gunther versus Damian Priest again, just yet. Yeah. I think there was still some meat on that bone, but it's fine if you want to do it now. It's whatever. They're both established. Like Damian's not going anywhere in the division, and obviously neither is Gunther. So
yeah, but Gunther again. I think with Gunther, it's just more stalling. We're just adding days. I think with Gunther's character is not so much about the number of title reigns as it is with someone like maybe Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of the length of title reign. Yeah. And so like, I don't think he might have 1 or 2 storylines that are good, probably around like, the major seasons, WrestleMania or SummerSlam. But beyond that, it's just let's stack as many days as we can.
Yeah.
So that's at least that's how it's kind of coming off.
Okay. Because it's a foregone. There's no way Damien's winning. I mean, I agree with you in that future prediction that hasn't come yet, but um, it's hard to balance that when you're establishing a new dominant champion or at this new level. Gunther. I mean, the worst thing you can do is make him win. You know what I'm saying? Which that's what they're doing right now. So it's not like I fault it, but the only thing I would change is maybe the person. Like I said, maybe it's a little bit too soon, but I'm not mad
I
at it
think
at
it's just
all.
similar to like Liv, where it's just like his badness is not really doesn't have much depth to it. His heelness doesn't have much depth to it to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when he has these issues with people, it's just like, oh, you're street trash. You're poor. This, that, and a third. And it's like, is there anything a little bit more deeper than this? Or are you just like, I'm just gonna be like a stereotypical 1980s like cocky asshole.
Yeah, just
Like,
heel champion like that. Yeah, because that also
yeah.
came out of left field, like him calling Damian Priest like street trash or Judgment Day street trash. It's like he only gets upset when people are like doing fuck shit in the ring. He's the ring general. So it's like even when he talks shit, it's like ring based, like you just can't fuck with me. So the fact that he just launches personal attacks is that was pretty out of left field for me, honestly.
I would almost like for him to have like a elevated stage on the main ramp where he will come
Okay.
out at periodic times whenever he felt like to watch potential opponents.
Okay.
Just to add to the cockiness of it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, like it's just like, hey, I have like my VIP section where I'm doing my scouting and I'm, it just kind of adding to the pretentiousness of like, this is high class almost, or have him sitting in like the suites or some shit to give me something about like some type of depth to his heelness.
Yeah, what you were describing as you were describing it, I was thinking about the old curmudgeons from the Muppets. They sit up in the theater and they just talk shit about
Yeah.
like that's exactly what he needs. Yeah, but like if he's scouting from there, but it's just like
True.